Hi, I'm Tim Carter. Let's ask the builder. Good afternoon. I I'm a late only because I just finished up an email to an architect in Sedona, Arizona, and this architect has given me a lot of business. I've done several plumbing isometric drawings for this architect, and the um, uh, the city of Sedona, Arizona, now has requested before they issue the permit. They want this is the first time I've ever seen this happen anywhere in the United States. They want a table of all of the plumbing fixtures in the house with the fixture units next to them. And then when you do all that math and do all that magic that typically only a master plumber would know, um, you then from that you can determine whether or not the the pipe sizes that are on the isometric drawing are correct. For example, for example, I, in other words, you could not connect a toilet to an inch and a half drain pipe because it can't handle the volume of water. All right, so I just had to send that email to her telling her, yes, I can do it. Here's what it will cost. Blah 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 blah. So anyway, I'm here today. We're going to talk a little bit about just to start off the stream. Hey, Missing, how you doing? Hi, Obi. Happy Friday to both of you. Thank you. Good to see you. We're going to talk. I want to talk a little bit about lead paint danger, and then as the live stream happens, it's ask anything, comment anything. We can go any place you want to go. It doesn't matter to me. I really doesn't matter. So remember, you are the fuel for the live stream, and you fill the tank, so to speak, by chatting your questions in the chat stream. Simple as that. All right. Stain Solver sponsoring today's live stream. Great certified organic bleach. It's a powder. It mixes with warm or hot water. It makes a solution just like water. It looks just like water, but it's got trillions and trillions of tiny little oxygen bubbles. And those little oxygen bubbles move around and they get rid of really tough stains. It deodorizes things. It's so good it gets rid of skunk odor. It's just a fantastic product. My wife and I have been making it for about 25 years, so I recommend it highly. Just go to stainsolver.com, watch the videos. You'll be amazed. It's as simple as that. And we sell this little tiny sample bottle for those people who, some people don't want to take a chance on the bigger size, thinking it might not work. But this is enough to make 1 gallon of solution to test on the outside of your home. And it'll make 2 gallons to do almost all inside jobs. And you can do a lot with 2 gallons of Stain Solver solution. And obviously, the more you buy, the cheaper it gets on a per pound basis. I mean, we have a lot of people who buy it in our 5-gallon pail size, and it's very inexpensive when you buy it in that size. Anyway, all right. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, whatever, put them in the chat stream. I'll do my best to answer them. All right, let's talk a little bit. Oh, look at that. The Christmas lights are off in the back. All right. So I should turn them on. The lead paint. So lead's an element, been around a long time, billions of years. And when early man found out about it, and here's what had to happen. You start to think back, like how in the world did they ever discover lead and blah, blah, blah. All right. So unfortunately, it's lost in history. We'd have to get into a time machine. But here's what I think happened. I am doing fine, Steve. I like your little color. Oh, look at that. It's really interesting. Now your logo is a different color with a wrench by it. So it obviously means you're a moderator. Wonderful. That's great. So here's what I think happened when they discovered lead. I think that early man they figured it out. They figured that it's nice to have rocks around a campfire, because they contain the fire and they do all kinds of things. Well, my guess is they were collecting rocks one day, and these rocks, had a lot of lead in them. It was as a mineral deposit, and they got some really hot fire going. They decided to have a party. Maybe they were drinking too much beer, whatever, however they made beer back then, if they had it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, when they woke up the next morning, and their head was buzzing, they look on the ground, and here's this pool of solidified silver metal. And like, what the heck is that? And then they pick it up and it's bendable. It's like, whoa, what's this? And somebody was smart enough to figure it came out of the rock. I'm just assuming that's what happened. How else could they figure it out? All right. Been around a long time. So it was used to make water lines. And then once you separate it and you just have a sheet of lead or, a puddle of lead that's solidified, pretty quickly you discover kind of a neat material. It's bendable. You can make it into pipe. You can do this, do that with it, whatever. And anyway, as you march through time, they figured out that lead could do a lot of things. And so lead it was an additive to paint many, many years ago. You can go to my website, just go to askthebuilder.com, type lead paint in the search engine and read all about it. All right. Read what it did in the paint. Well, eventually, Steve, you say you can't remember when they had lead in it. So lead has been in paint for over 100 years. Here in the United States, lead was banned from paint. I'm almost positive in 1967. So any home that was built prior to 1967, there is likelihood here in America that's got lead paint. All right. So you can pretty much rest assured that a house built in the early 1900s, it's got lead paint in it. Okay. The trouble is, lead for us humans and for animals too, mammals, it's very toxic. It's like insanely toxic. And it can cause all kinds of problems. In men, it can make you impotent. It can kill you. You get enough lead and it will kill you. All right. So back when I lived in Cincinnati, my neighbor's dog was a very hyperactive, I think like an Irish setter. That's kind of what it reminded me of, that dog. I'm not an expert on dog breeds. Anyway, I noticed that it was chewing on the woodwork in this house because we were doing some work in the house. And this house I know was built in the 1930s. And one day the dog got really sick. The homeowner, the wife, was carrying the dog out to her car to go to the vet. And I said, "What are you doing?" She says, "Oh, it's Casey's really sick." And I said, "I already know what's wrong." And she looked at me like, "What?" I said, I'm sure she's got lead poisoning. So tell the vet when you get there that I noticed that she's been chewing on the woodwork in the basement. So sure enough, the dog lived. They were able to treat it, but lead, very, very toxic. So this means that in your home, if you have an older home, first of all, you can test for it. There's these very inexpensive kits that you can buy that you can test to see if paint is lead. But the problem is, yes, exactly. No problem. I understand. I knew what you meant. So the problem is, if you get one of these lead test kits and say you're in an older home that was built in the 1920s, but they've since put 3 coats of latex paint on it, 5 years ago. So your test may come back, "No, there's no lead here, man. Everything's fine," because the test kit is not getting through down to the older layers of lead paint. So just keep that in mind. In other words, keep in mind that you have to make sure that you're testing all of the paint, that's either inside or outside. Also understand that they used to put lead in varnish. So if you have an older home, same thing, back early 1900s, late 1800s, that's got beautiful old-fashioned woodwork, And this would really be interesting for you too, Steve, over in the UK. You've got so much of your housing stock is so old. I mean, my goodness, hundreds of years old. So any of the clear wood finishes over there, it'd be really interesting to test those to see how much of it has got lead in the clear finishes. So what does this mean? So, okay, we know that lead's toxic. We know it's in all the older paint. We know it can be in the clear finishes, the old varnishes. So what does that mean to you? Well, it just means that you need to be very careful how you handle this lead paint. And what it means is that if you have an old home that has it and you hire painters, like for example, my next door neighbor's house, every like 3 or 4 years, they hired painters to come in and paint the outside. Same thing, the outside, all kinds of lead paint. These guys would be scraping. They had sanders out. They'd be sanding, and I mean, it's just like they're creating this giant toxic situation. So the soil below where all those paint chips fell would get contaminated. All that lead paint dust would get in the soil. So think about this. Once again, I'm not a gardener, but imagine if you have an older home and someone maybe has done this, the previous owner, and you want to put a little garden in next to your home on the southern exposure. Maybe that soil has got all kinds of lead in it. So you got to be really careful. You just have to put on your thinking cap and use your critical thinking skills, thinking that the soil could be contaminated and that if there's dust inside the old house, it could be lead paint dust. You just don't want to be ingesting that stuff. When you go to my website and read those columns about lead paint, you will have a brand new respect for lead paint, is all I can tell you. I guarantee it, big time. Could be, Steve. There's a laundry list. It's a long list of the help. I've got it at the website. I can look it up myself right now. I'll put the link in for you because there's going to be other people that are watching this this live stream. So here it is. I think this is the original column that I'm pulling up right now. It's either that or the Builder Bulletin. So yeah, this is one of the links I'm going to give you, and then I'm going to give you another link. So hang tight. So here we go. Here's one link, and this is the story about the dog right here. And then here is this should be the actual column. This particular one here that I'm now giving you this should list all of the health concerns. So all of the health issues will be in this one. And and what you should really do is if you know somebody that has an older home, they're thinking of buying an older home, you should forward those two links to them, just to get it on their radar. Because young people and many people, they just don't know. I've talked about it on other live streams. You don't know what you don't know. There's a lot I don't know about commercial airplanes. I mean, I've flown them in Microsoft Flight Simulator years ago, but every time I go to land, I crash. All right, so I obviously don't know enough, about slowing down and setting the flaps, and there's a lot to know. All right, so anyway, the point is, you have to give lead a lot of respect because it's so dangerous, so very, very dangerous. So anyway, okay. If you have any questions about your home, whatever it might be, just put it in the chat. Happy to answer them. And we will do our best. I will do my best, I should say, to answer your questions and save you a lot of time and money. And I woke up this morning. It was 5 a.m. here in New Hampshire, pitch black, because today I looked on my weather app, and today we have exactly on the weather app 9 hours of daylight. So tomorrow it's going to be 8 hours and 58 minutes or something, probably. So, and Steve, you've got less. I mean, today you probably lucky to have 8 hours because you're so much farther north. than I am in New Hampshire. Anyway, while I was lying in bed, I had this. I told the story. It's going to be in the newsletter. If you're a subscriber to the newsletter, you're going to get this story on Sunday, and I wrote it all out. But we have to back up a few days, so we have to back up to where there's just been some things in the news and some other things going on that through this past week have really troubled me. Just really, I don't want to say have got me really upset and wrapped around the axle, but they've troubled me. All right. I may have done a really good job of hiding it here on the live streams, but they thank you very much, Missing. I see that. Interesting. Want to look. All right, Steve, I'll answer your question. How does lead? I don't know how lead compares to barium. I took physical chemistry, but don't know. All right. Yes, exactly. You're exactly right, Missing. I'm going to. So I'm actually going to be talking about this right now. That checklist. So I'm lying in bed thinking. Typically a lot of people suffer from stress and depression this time of year. All right, for a host of reasons. All right, so. And then when you layer on top of that, what's going on, at least here in America, and I think pretty much the whole world, it's getting to be a lot. So I think I was kind of foretelling the future of the report that was put out today. So here in the news in America, there was a headline story on one of my news sources that said that the rate, I may have this wrong, but I think I'm pretty close, that the rate of inflation just last month, not for the whole year, but just for last month was 6.2%. All right. So that's crazy. That's insane. All right. So inflation is a really, really bad thing. I've talked about this on past live streams. Inflation is really, really bad. All right. So, I mean, it may not be bad if you're making $1 million or $2 million a year, or you have 5 or 10 million in the bank because you're making so much on your investments. Who cares? All right, unless you have this huge, expensive lifestyle. All right, so I was thinking, what can I do to help my subscribers, help my YouTube viewers, help the visitors to my website through this tough time. So I just had this really rough idea that crystallized in my head. I'm still working on it. And I'm going to, for sure, announce it on, let's see. So New Year's Day is on a Saturday. So on January 2nd, for sure, I'm going to share it in my newsletter. Right? And you don't want to miss it. I'm telling you right now, if you want to be on the newsletter list. And specifically, you should join now if you're not already on it, because then you'll get to read the big story that I wrote this morning that I just kind of touched on here. So go to askthebuilder.com, right on the homepage, sign up for the newsletter. After you hit submit, you got to check your email for the confirmation link, blah, blah, blah. You know how to do all that. Very common now. So, yes, Steve, inflation sucks. I mean, if you don't know much about inflation, I know we're getting off the track a little bit, but it's really important, and it has everything to do with home improvement. I mean, everything. because inflation causes the price of the things you need to maintain or improve your home to go up. And and it also causes the prices, if you can't do the work yourself, the people that are doing the work for you are raising their prices because everything attached to their business is going up because of inflation, meaning their insurance cost is going up, the fuel for their truck to come to and from your home is going up, the cost to repair the truck is going up, the cost for all the materials is going up. I mean, everything's going up, right? But here's the trouble, is that unless you're a business owner and even if you are a business owner, there's no guarantee that your wages are going to keep up with inflation. So very few people, very few people's wages stay equal with the rate of inflation. So that means if inflation for a given year is 8% and you get a 4% raise, you went backwards. You're losing money. All right. And then any money you've got in savings, it's just got eaten up. So in other words, if you had $100 in savings and inflation was 8%, just roughly, at the end of the year, your $100 in the bank really is only kind of worth $92. All right. So inflation's so bad. All right. So anyway, and remember what the root cause, there's a lot of root causes, but here in America, what's going on? Actually, Steve, you guys had raging inflation. I don't know that you were born then, but right during World War II, there was raging inflation in the UK and Britain because Britain had turned on their printing presses and they were printing millions of British pounds, just like their pound is like our dollar here in America. Right. So, and the reason they were doing that was because they had to buy all this stuff so that they could survive and beat Hitler in the war. All right. So by printing all this money, they diluted the value of the British pound and it just crashed. I mean, it was crazy. So that's what's happening in America right now. If you're not paying attention to this, you need to start paying attention. The old saying, elections have consequences. So when you turn on the printing presses and you start printing money, bad things happen. Really bad things happen. All right. So anyway, yep, inflation sucks. All right. So we don't want this to be Ask the Economist. It's supposed to be Ask the Builder. So if you have a question about your home, please put it in here. So yes, missing, correct. You were a teen in the 70s. So if you were a teen in the 70s, wow. So was I. I mean, we're the same age. Because in 1970, I would have been 18 years old. Yes, Steve, exactly. That's exactly right. They want us all to be poor. All right. So they're working on it pretty well right now. All right. So anyway, inflation. Well, back then, if you remember, missing, so Jimmy Carter then came into office as president of the United States, and I distinctly remember that interest rates for homes were like in the 20% range. I mean, that's insanity. I mean, any interest rate over 6-7% is rough. I mean, it's really rough. So, all right. So you're born in, you're a youngster. My goodness. You're still a pup, Steve. All right. So anyway, we don't have a lot of people here. And like I said, I knew, yes, there you go. You couldn't buy, Missing says, I couldn't buy a home in 1984 because the interest rate was still too high. Yep, absolutely. Back then they were doing a lot of owner financing, land contracts. I was a real estate broker back then, back in Ohio. And it was a wild time in the real estate market, let me tell you. Crazy. So as I've said before, in the past few days, I know that in this run up to Christmas, that that we're going to have light attendance on the live stream because everybody's so busy. I get it. All right. So I get it. So we're just going to kind of it's just going to be relaxed. And if I start to get boring, say, you can type in the chat like, Tim, time to end the stream. Oh, you grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. I don't know if you still live there, but boy, not a place to go out on Saturday night now. Woo! Chicago is much different than it was back then, I think. So here, Steve's got a great question. Is land expensive to buy in the United States? Well, great question. It depends on the answer is yes and no. It's like anything else in real estate. I don't know if you in the UK have a similar, but here in the United States, there's an axiom in real estate said it's simply this: location, location, location. So if you're in a great location, the price of whatever you own is generally going to be higher. All right, so I could go right now to Western New Hampshire. You can actually look this up. I mean, you could go to Zillow, you could go to all those online real estate things. This would be a really interesting thing to do, Steve, for you. Go to Western New Hampshire, and which it's like nowheresville. I mean, it's just like nothing is over there. It's horrible. I mean, I don't mean to beat up on people over there. It's not the best part of New Hampshire by a long shot. And my guess is if you look at raw land prices there, you might be able to find raw land for $1,000 an acre, maybe even cheaper. All right. You go to other parts of New Hampshire, like where I am, land prices $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 an acre. All right. So it just depends. So, and then there's many other places in the United States where it's much cheaper. You could probably still buy land some places in America for, I don't know, $200 an acre. I mean, it's probably horrible land, and you're 30 miles from civilization, and it might get 5 inches of rain a year, So, I mean, it just, that goes back to the whole location thing. So you're in northern Wisconsin now, yeah, up in the Arctic tundra. Yes, getting 14 inches. Yeah, you're getting the first big winter storm is hitting you right now. I know that. I saw that today in the news. Steve says, I heard San Francisco is getting bad for crime. Dude, it's really interesting. This is where remember that, I don't know if no one has to answer, but I shared that link yesterday in the chat stream, about that video you need to watch about how Google and Facebook and all these other big tech giants are controlling the narrative and controlling what you see. But anyway, one of the news outlets that I look at, yesterday had a story that last month in San Francisco, Steve, 3,000, and this is just the city of San Francisco, not the suburbs, just the city, 3,000 break-ins in automobiles. Just automobiles. All right. We also have, there's been this very, very, I don't know if it's in your news over there in the UK. We have had this very disturbing new trend of smash and grab. These organized, they're using their smartphones, but these groups of people are maybe 50 or 100 people at a time are organizing. They go into a high-level department store. They all rush into the door, steal a bunch of stuff, run out, and they actually have other people that are outside in cars blocking traffic so that no one can move, and then so that all the guys who are getting all the stuff can get back into their cars and get the heck out of there. Right? I mean, it's a very organized, guerrilla type warfare thing that's going on here in America, and it's happening. It happened at a Home Depot store, I think, in the Upper Midwest, just earlier this week or last weekend. It's a very disturbing trend. So crime here in America in the bigger cities is really starting to go up. I mean, there's an exodus of people moving out of the big cities. All right, so Steve's got another question. How much would it cost to build a home yourself? Boy, that's like that question is like this wide. You can't even see my hands off the screen. There are so many variables in what it costs to build a home. So you could build a really modest home. I mean, a very Spartan, very simplistic, one-story home, almost like a cottage that you would have in the UK. You could probably build one of those right now. I'm just taking a wild guess. $150,000 US. I mean, small, and I mean small. I'm saying probably 1,000 square feet or less. That would only be $150 a foot. So I have to believe that new home building prices. I'm trying to think what my daughter's new home was. If I did the math on her home, let's see. I'll try to do it real fast here because I pretty much know. Yeah, I'm way off on the $100 a square foot. There's no way. So let me turn this on. So Divided by 20. Yeah, I think my daughter, but hers was a nice place, really great windows. Her cost per square foot, and this was 2 years ago, $270 a square foot. So I'd say for a modest home right now, you might be able to get it done for 200 a square foot, just a wild guess. But you could easily spend 500 a square foot with not even a problem. I mean, just the when you look at the price of windows right now, just the windows and doors, it's mind blowing. And then we had a big problem here in the United States, Steve. I don't know. I haven't watched it lately because it's a commodity. It goes up and down. Uh, but lumber prices here in the United States about a year ago were, I think, 400% higher than they had normally were. And it was because of all the crushing mandates put on by our government because of this of the illness. I just call it the illness, all right, because that's all it is. Just, I mean, when you have something where 98.4% of the people survive, I mean, it's not really that serious. Yellow fever, serious. Back in the day, you get yellow fever, you had a 1 in 2 chance of dying, 50% mortality rate. But when we're talking about an illness that has a 1.5% mortality rate, are you serious? Come on. But anyway, it caused the price of lumber to go up way high. And I know it's come down, but I don't know if it's come back down to where it's supposed to be. So let's just say $200 a square foot for starters, if that answers your questions. All right, so here's Missing says last summer we found 80 acres in Wisconsin, Minnesota border for 55,000, but it had no power roads. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's a great example, Missing. Great example. So bad location. I mean, you have to have electricity, or you have to have roads. All right, so bad, bad, bad. So that's a great example. So there, no wonder that it was only priced at what? So what would it have been priced at? 80. So it's priced at $700 an acre. So pharmacies. Well, pharmacies. I don't know that they're a big target here in America right now. I haven't heard of a lot of pharmacy break-ins. I mean, they've got all those horrible narcotics in them, and the drug people need them. The smash and grab stuff is going for high ticket, high price items. Very expensive stuff. Missing says the new house being built last summer was on an acre, went for $330K, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Yeah, it would be nice to know how many square feet that was. Just do the math on the outside shape of the house to find out the finished square footage. And William, hi William, how you doing? Have I ever built a small tiny house? I have not built one. I have built. I'll tell you what I did build. I can look at it through the window here. It's up on the hill above me. I built a shed that would be just like a little tiny house. It was only 16. It's 16 feet wide, 24 feet deep, which is a very nice modular shape. And if you take a piece of paper, if you take 16 by 24, and it's 2-story, it's got a staircase going up to an attic. You can do a lot with 16 by 24. I mean, you can put a bathroom in, a very small, compact kitchen, wide open living area, and a very small bedroom. But in that particular shed, which could easily be converted to a small house, the mistake I made, but I was in a rush. I just wanted it for storage. But whoever buys this house, I'm going to tell them they should make a big dormer up there. I mean, it's got a nice 12 pitch roof. So you could put a dormer up. You could put 2 of them in, 2 dormers, like opposing dormers up in the attic, and make a ginormous room. I mean, oh, it'd be spectacular. Oh my gosh. And it would be simple to do. I mean, a good carpenter, like if you and I and Steve, like if you guys came here and we got the stuff out of the way, we could easily frame and roof inside those dormers in 6-7 days would be done. I mean, it's simple. So anyway, and then you'd have 16 by 24, and then probably the rest of the living space would be usable. Would be, I don't know, 16 by 24 is what? That's 240, 300, it's probably 500 and 600 square feet in this little place. Anyway, it would be fun to build a little house. And actually, I would like to do that and create this massive video series of the entire project. That would really be a fun. In fact, what I found, get this, before I went live today, so I had recorded 100, maybe 150, 200 videos that were part of that shed building project. They're almost all of them are on my YouTube channel, but it takes a while to find them. Anyway, the last thing I did in the project was the shed was completely finished, and I had to build the staircase from the first floor to the second floor. I never got around to cutting that video. And it was funny, just about 2 weeks ago, I stumbled across it on this computer that I'm on. I went, oh my gosh, look at all that video footage. And so after Christmas, or maybe during the week between Christmas and New Year's, I might cut that video. It's going to be unbelievable. Wait till you see this flipping video. It could end up being, because it's a 2-part video. It starts out where this set of steps is you go up, then you go around these winders, then you go up again. So the first thing I had to do was build the winders. And so I recorded probably, oh my gosh, 25 minutes of just building the winders. Anyway, wait till you see those videos. So the video series to build this tiny house would be, I'm sure other people have already done it. All right. But I tend to go into much more detail. It could be, I'm just guessing, it could be 400 hours of video. That's a lot. All right, let's catch up with the comments. So you say, William says, I'd like to build a small tiny house, say 20 or 20 or 20 by 30. So that's not very small, just so you know. I mean, that's I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, a lot of houses are 2,000, 3,000 square feet. So a 20 by 30 would be, 600 square feet. Here's the first step though, William. Here's how you do it. So, this is kind of an interesting bifurcation here of the stream. So anyway, don't ever start your project in your head like that, William, meaning I want a 20 by 30 house. No. No. What you do is you go into your existing home, room by room, and you seriously look at each room and you go, for example, you'd go, my living room, it's too big. It sucks. I've got this wasted space in the living room. And you can actually take your furniture and you could start to slide it in away from the walls, get the furniture closer together to where it's still comfortable, but you're not all crowded in. All right. So now what would be the new size of the living room? All right. So you can see what I mean. You could see where you could create a new boundary of the living room. And you do the same thing for every room, because certain rooms in your current house are too big. And my guess is certain rooms are too small. So now you have the room sizes. And now what you do is you put them you make scale cutouts of this and you start to slide them together. And then you have to figure out your hallways, how you connect and get between the things. And my recommendation, always keep this in mind. It won't eat up that much space. All too often you go into people's homes and you walk down a hallway and you go, man, this is narrow. And the reason is because it's the code minimum. The code minimum here in the United States is 3 feet. So the minimum you should make hallways is 3'6" wide, wall to wall. And it's better if you go 4 feet. So just have wider hallways. You'll never, ever regret that. And I mean, in a hallway 8 feet long, all you're adding is 8 square feet, to the project. Big deal. All right. So don't make the hallway small. And then here's another quick tip that all too often I see in homes, like bedroom doors. They always put the wrong bedroom door in. The architects specify a 2'6". And Steve, I don't know what, I know you do things metric over there, but here our doors are 2'6". They're even inches and 2-inch increments and then they're 6'8" high. But the point is, so I could translate that to millimeters, and I understand that, or meters. But they don't. In your case, they'd be a fraction of a meter, because I mean a meter is 39 inches. So anyway, always make bedroom doors 2'8" minimum, 2'8". Almost always you'll find that they're 2'6". No wonder you have such a hard time getting furniture in and out. And then the other thing is, in our doors here, like here, I'm pointing to the lock set right here. The factory, they pre-drill a hole, for a tubular lock set. And all too often, they drill that hole, the back set of 2 3/8 inches. Well, make it 2 3/4. That's this. You can get the latches to do either one, because what happens with the 2 3/8, when you put your hand on the knob right here, your knuckles rub against the wood here, and it's really uncomfortable. So always go a 2 3/4 inch back set. So that's a little tip that I should, that's all that stuff that's up here that's got to come out. All right, so let's get caught up. William, yeah, please do it. Well, here's the trouble. So let's get back to William's asking me to do the video series in the small house. So here's what that would encompass. Somebody has to put up the money to buy the lot and buy all the materials. All right. And then you have to hire a videographer. All right. Because if you're going to do this thing, you're going to do it right. All right. So the videographer has to be there. And I don't know what the day rate right now for videographer is. It's got to be $700. It's got to be. So, I mean, you're talking about a very expensive video series. And then to cut all that footage, the post-production time, typically this varies, but for every hour of video, let's just do it minutes. For every minute of video, like on my channel, like even when I do my own post, and I've gotten really good at it, and I can shorten it up because I know when I shoot the video things that will help in post. Anyway, for me, every minute of finished video you see on my channel took me at least 15 minutes of total time. All right, so a 3-minute video is 45 minutes of post-production. So who's going to pay for all that post-production? To pay somebody to do it? I mean, you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that huge set of videos, which is precisely why when you go out onto YouTube, you don't see it. It's a huge financial undertaking. And then it's on the if come. So who wants to invest, I don't know, let's just say $500,000 to make this video series on small houses on the if come or hope that it's going to sell, that you'll even make back your money. That's what happens when you've been an independent businessman like me all these years. I don't listen. I only hope for things that I can't control. Like I hope about the weather, but I don't hope about business decisions. All right. All right. That was for Steve to see the tax return. They would be higher. All right. So William, I could get by with a lot smaller, 60 by 20. You might get by, but William, I'm serious. This would be a fun weekend exercise. It would only take you an hour to do this. Is actually go room by room through your house. You already know which rooms are too small or which ones are too big, and then come up with this, and then just get some. You can go online or you can buy it at the store. The old-fashioned 1/4-inch graph paper. Just make cutouts. Make these scale cutouts where a 1/4 inch equals a foot, and now you've got this little cutout of your living room, and it doesn't matter. Don't worry about the shape. If you want your living room to be rectangular, make it rectangular, right? And then start working these things out and create the hallways, and you're going to see how big the house is going to be. Simple as that. Anyway, Steve says, I'm old enough to remember imperial measurements. I'll bet there's no chance of us going back to it now that we've left. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know what? The metric is, metric's cool, because it's so easy to work with from a computational standpoint, because it's all, decimals, it's all 10, it's a 10 base, right? So 10, well, you know what I mean? In other words, you've got 10 millimeters, 20, 30, a meter is what? A meter is, isn't that fun? 1,000 millimeters, I guess. Yeah, it's got to be. A meter's 1,000 millimeters. So, whereas here in America, this is kind of a fun story. So, it's so complex to use our system, where you have fractions of an inch, like an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch, a half, whatever. So back in the day when, I was working with my buddies, my fellow carpenter guys, we would play a game. I mean, we would, we we would do a game. Like there would be one guy up high who was taking measurements, and he might yell back. Like in other words, he might need a board cut, I don't know, 4 feet and 3/4 inches. So he, while he's doing that in his head, he goes, he would go, so I'm trying to do it really fast. So 16, he would go, I need 4 feet and 48/64. Where you have to do the math to bring that back down to 3/4 of an inch. So, and then, get wild, we would go out to the 128th of an inch. I mean, just crazy stuff, so that's what young carpenters do, to try to tease and throw off one of their carpenter buddies. So we would do stuff like that, but you really can't do that easily. Well, I guess you could do it in metric. You would just say something was really like a long board would be a lot of millimeters. That's all. But it would be much easier to figure out than what we had to do. So anyway, so that's where these live streams go. They just go all over the place. Remember, if you like the live stream, hit the like button. Really helps us a lot. What else did I want to tell you? Oh gosh, so many things. But yeah, William, I think you now understand why you can't find video series. I mean, really in-depth video series about things because they're so expensive to make. I mean, oh my gosh, so expensive. Hi, Will. How you doing? Will says, second floor dormer with 18-inch overhang occasionally gets ice dam, even with ice shield under the shingles. I have roof rake, but hard to get to it. Could removing no. So that is a great. This is why I love these questions in the chat. So first of all, you've already solved the problem as long as the ice shield is under all the shingles going up the roof. All right. So if you were to read all of my ice dam columns and watch my ice dam videos on the website, you'll see that I'm one of the few people that says ice dams can happen anywhere. And I'm here in my own home. I can show you that on a steep roof, 12-12 pitch, synthetic slate. I rake as much as I can. I don't have to rake it, but sometimes I do. But I'll have an ice dam that'll form 14, 15 feet up high on the roof. All right. So, and I explained that in the columns why it happens. All right. But guess what? I re-roofed my house 6 years ago. There's Grace Ice and Water Shield everywhere. I don't care if there's ice dams. I don't care if the ice dams on my roof get 5 feet thick. I don't care. I'm not getting any leaks. So you shouldn't care either. In other words, if you have this ice shield on that entire dormer roof, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So don't worry about it. Don't try to rake it off, because the whole purpose, if the ice and water shield was put in correctly, is it's supposed to stop the leaks that the ice dam's creating, that the dripping water will never get inside. So that's why it's such a wonderful product. I mean, talk about innovative, amazing products. When I should maybe do a column on that. Actually, I'll write myself a note. I kind of did one years ago, but I don't know that I went down that path. I'll have to look it up. But Ice and Water Shield, really, really innovative product. I mean, boy, I mean a game changer, true game changer. All right. Okay, yeah, you're not sure if your ice shield goes all the way up. Okay, that's a problem. See, so, um, and surely don't hurt yourself trying to get that snow off. I mean, anyway, what did I want to say? So here's the column I did that I kind of probably did this, but I should probably update it. So if you go back and just look at older buildings, I've been so lucky to cut my teeth as a young remodeler, carpenter, builder on old buildings. And it's funny, I say old. I hear you laughing all the way across the flipping ocean, Steve. I get it. All right. I call a building here that old, that's 120 years old. And you could take me through parts of London that have got houses that are 800 years old, probably. Definitely out in the out in the countryside, some really old places. All right. Here was a game changer. Here's another one. It was plywood. You wouldn't think much of it. And what's happened is plywood now it used to be the belle of the ball here in the United States, back from the 1950s, 60s. But then the CEOs of lumber companies, they saw this waste that they had in their yard. So they decided to make OSB, and so OSB has really pushed plywood, out of the marketplace, made plywood a little too expensive. But prior to plywood, what carpenters would do is they would just take tongue and groove 1x6s, and have to handle all these tongue and groove 1x6s, nail them all in. So there's a lot of handling involved. And prior to that, they just used wider boards, like that weren't tongue and groove, like 1x12s, for subflooring and whatever. But it's really interesting to see some of the really great innovative products. I would absolutely say in its day, plywood was, a really big game changer, huge game changer. So cement board is another one. So anyway, once again, I knew during the holidays that it would be light because people are busy doing other things. I get it. I totally get it. Shiplap. Well, no, that's not what shiplap is. So go online, go to Google Images and type in shiplap siding, and you'll see pictures of it. That's what I would do, Will. Steve says, I'll bet you've had a fair few. Yes, I bet I've had a lot of splinters. And I'll show you what I use to get them out with. A friend of mine, I'm going to show you the absolute best splinter removal tool. You might not have ever thought about this. So luckily, way back when I was in my 30s, when I was really, really humping it. I had my oldest daughter went to preschool with another young girl, and my wife and I, Kathy and I, became friends with Dave, and why can't I think of her name? Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I can't remember her name. I'm going to think of it in just a minute. Doesn't matter. So Dave was a physician's assistant. So that's just like one step underneath being a doctor. And he worked at one of the largest hospitals in Cincinnati in the emergency room. So he gave me this one day. So what is this? It's really hard. It might be hard. I'm trying to hold it against something where you can see definitely you can see it now if I get it up close. So it's a 16 gauge hypodermic needle. So it's a heavy one. This is the needle that they use if you injure in the old days. I don't know that they do it anymore, but let's just say you hurt your knee swells up. It's got all this fluid in it, and that fluid's causing all kinds of pain. So they jab your knee with this damn thing. I've had it done. I know. They jab this thing and they suck out all that fluid. All right. So these 16 gauge hypodermic needles, if you can get one, they are so amazing to remove splinters. So the way you do it, I could almost demonstrate it here. Well, it's really hard on the camera doing backwards. The whole point is that I've become a pro at it, and actually, my friend showed me how to do it. I don't want to take full credit. So typically, a splinter goes in. They rarely go in straight, like a bullet might go into your hand or finger. Although I've had those, and those are horrible. They generally go in at an angle. So what you do is you just take this hypodermic needle, and it's so sharp. I mean, oh my gosh, you don't want to use a straight pin. That's like using a straight pin to get a splinter out is like using I don't know, a stick, like a stick from the woods uh, to draw with. I don't know. That's a really bad analogy. These things are so flipping sharp that you just go right next to the splinter and you just kind of slide the hypodermic needle next to the splinter. And so what you're doing is think of this as like a plow that a farmer would use to open a slit in the ground. So you're just using this thing right next to the splinter. You open up a slit and the flap of skin opens up, and you just take the tip of the hypodermic needle and slide the splinter out. And it really doesn't hurt that bad at all, believe it or not. It doesn't hurt that bad. And if it is starting to hurt, then what I always do is I always just take an ice cube and I just ice my finger, ice the splinter, and basically kind of desensitize the area, make it really, really cold, and which kind of numbs it, and then take it out. I mean, I'm pretty good with it, I can tell you that. My kids would never let me do it. They see the size of that needle and they freak out. So 16 gauge hypodermic, get one. Go find one. Do whatever you got to do. All right. Yeah, maybe I could use a dry erase clipboard to show us some examples. Yes, that's a good point. I'm working on that. What I'm trying to do is, yes, you're exactly right. I could do that and draw and hold it up. So there's a pundit on cable TV here and that used to do that. People made fun of him. But it's effective. It could work. So that's a great thing. I'm going to put that down. Got it. All right. All right. So, yes, a lot of splinters. But once you know how to get them out, it's not a big deal. And of course, I would have one of those hypodermic needles with me in my truck, so if I got a splinter during the day, I would just go get it out right away. So, and I had a pretty good first aid kit. Because isn't it amazing how sensitive our fingers and our feet are? They've got so many interesting nerve endings, that whole sense of touch. So that, boy, when you get the tiniest little splinter in your hand, I mean, boy, it doesn't take long for it to start to hurt. Because it's just amazing. It's just amazing to me. So you got to get them out, or you just go nuts. Simple as that. All right, so I'll let you type any last question or comment. Otherwise, I'm gonna hit the road. I'm gonna get out of here. Once again, an hour went by. I just can't believe how it's 58 minutes we've been on. It's crazy, crazy. Hi, Showbiz. How you doing? All right. Yeah, and the fingernail. Oh yeah, those were the worst. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Showbiz says, do you know how to fix a flooded pipe? Because as I get hit in the head with water. I am Showbiz. I'm blanking on your situation. I'm trying to picture what you're trying to describe, and I don't understand it. You're going to have to do a little bit better job of telling me how a flooded pipe it's hitting you in the head with water. Can't you turn off the water so that the water doesn't spray you in the head? All right. So Missing says, I'm looking for roofing recommendations. So tell me if this is not what you're looking for. I'm getting you a link. Hold on. I've almost got it. I want you to look at this link, look at this page, and tell me read the line that's right above the video. right on this page. Read the line that is right above the video and tell me if this is not what you want. I have a checklist. I think I have the exact checklist that you want because you just said that you have to hire it out and you're a clueless homeowner. Right. So I've got the product. I actually have about 40 of them for every single project around your home. So tell me if this isn't exactly what you want missing. You don't know where the valve is. Oh, that's no good. Well, we have to find the valve. I mean, you can't have this water squirting everywhere. So you have to find, actually, this is a really great example. So get this, Showbiz, go back and watch the video that it's on my channel. Just type in copper press, and it's just so horrible that I have a hard time multitasking. So all the women that are watching this, you've got to be cracking up laughing right now. I am trying to find, I know I've created a page about this on the website and it's got the video, but this is a great example. Here we go. Right here. I found it. I got it. All right. All right. Stand by, Showbiz. Stand by, Commander. Here we go. All right. So Showbiz, I want you to watch that video. Do that right now. Here's what's fascinating about this copper press tool. So in the old days, let's just say you had a copper water line in your home and something was going on. It broke and you got water squirting out of this copper water line. And you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to stop the leak? Well, you can take a wrench and you can crimp the pipe and you could do this really crude repair and stop most of the water pretty quickly. All right. But you're almost always going to crack the pipe again. It's still going to leak, but at least you'd stop a lot of the water. All right. Now, with this new technology, imagine this. When you're going to see in the video, this ball valve. All right, so a ball valve is a really neat valve that allows for full flow of the water through the valve. So imagine if you had a water line, a copper water line that you could cut and have a nice clean cut, but it's squirting water like a fire hose. I mean, it's like crazy squirting water. So you'll be able to see using my video how simple you could stop that water. You'd be able to stop the water in, 8 seconds. 8 seconds. Because here's what would happen. The pipe is shooting the water out. You've got your tool ready. You've got the ball valve in your hand. You open the ball valve up. All right. You open it up. You're going to get a little wet during the next step, just a little wet, not too much. And you take the ball valve and you quickly put it in the water stream and slide it onto the pipe. All right. It's not going to move. Water is now squirting through the ball valve. I mean, it's squirting through the ball valve. You can take a fingernail file your fingernails, buff them, whatever. Get on your cell phone, make a phone call if you want. No worries. No, I'm just serious. I'm kidding. So as soon as you got the valve on, you take the tool, you put it up on that ridge of the ball valve, you press the joint. Now you've made a leak-proof connection between the ball valve and the copper tubing. The tool stops, and you take your hand on the ball valve and shut it. The water stops. You could never do that soldering it. You cannot solder copper tubing while there's water in it. You cannot do it, all right? Because you can't get the temperature of the pipe high enough to melt the solder, all right? So that's how you could fix this. If you just need to go rent that copper press tool. Simple as that. Okay, Steve, thanks for being here, buddy. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I'll see you on Monday, hopefully. All right, no worries, Showbiz. I'm going to be out of here too. I'm out of here. I've been on an hour and 4 minutes, so it's crazy. So anyway, missing. I hope. Let me know if you think that roofing bid sheet is exactly what you want. And I'm willing. I'm willing to give it to you for free. have to do is email me, tell me who you are, blah, blah, so I know who you are. And then I'll just send you the thing. I think it would really be interesting for you to come back and tell other people in the live stream next week what you thought of it. That'd be kind of cool. So, all right. All right. Good. Thank you, Showbiz. But that's how you can fix that leak. Go watch that video. I just gave you the link to it. How to press copper tool. It's really amazing. All right. I will thank you for watching. Thank you if you've hit the like button. I appreciate it. Once again, the live stream's fun. We go all over the place, and I had a great time. And thank you for all of your questions and all your comments. I'll be here on Monday. Remember, next week. Hi, Silver. How you doing? You have a great weekend too. Okay. All right. I'll wait for a moment. Hurry up. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Missing. I'll be here too. All right, Showbiz. I'll give you another 30 or 40 seconds. I here. That's a great question. I was just going to say that. I will be on next Monday. So the next 2 weeks are going to be light. I'm only going to be doing a live stream next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the same thing the following week, the week before Christmas. And then the week between Christmas and New Year's, no streaming, because I use that as a planning week. It's kind of like a mini vacation. So only 6 more, count them, 6, 6 more streams until the end of the year. All right. So make them count, be here. Yeah, I don't think we're supposed to get a lot of rain tomorrow, not any snow. So anyway, so Monday I should be here. I should be here at 4:00, 4 p.m. Eastern. I should be here. The good Lord willing, He's in charge. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your questions. As I always say, you are the rocket fuel for the Ask the Builder live stream. The live stream would be horrible if you did not type questions in, because that's what keeps me going. That's how we get what's up here out to you. So I need your questions. Always keep that in mind. So what you should do, here's your job. As you encounter your daily life around your house and you have problems, get one of these. They make them smaller. Get the old-fashioned little pad, put it in your pocket, or get out your phone. They've got those apps. I've got an app on my own phone called Notepad, and just start typing the question down. Otherwise, you're going to forget it. So you should be able to come to the live stream with 3, 4, 5 different questions, because you're going to have questions every day. So anyway, thanks very much. That's what you have to do. You've got to write them down so you remember them. Simple as that. There's and one of the Tom Clancy books, if you remember, he had in the book, the wife of Jack Ryan said, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. All right. So that was actually the whole premise of one of the books. So anyway, thanks so much for being here. I will be here if everything goes well next week. And I hope you'll be here too. So have a wonderful weekend. I'm Tim Carter. You've been watching Ask the Builder.